It's wonderful to be able to use a template, and Six Apart has fabulous templates, and you can certainly start with a template. I think the beauty of a tool like typepad is that you can start, you can get the content in there, you can go out there with it, and then you can design it later. It can be a work in progress. But really, there's such an opportunity with having your own distinctive visual branding. It's going to help you stand out, right? When you're a template, you're cookie cutter, and pictures are worth 1,000 words. It's one thing for people to read that you're an expert in something, or this is your brand. It's another one for there to be imagery and colors that really underscore that really emphasize what you're all about. I strongly recommend that you work with a professional designer in the process of creating your visual brand identity system. There are great resources through Six Apart. Certainly I have resources on my team. Really, take that brand summary, and you can turn it into a design brief. And there's actually an example of a design brief that you can leverage from Career Distinction, and really, kind of a professional designer will help you to be able to translate your brand into the right colors for you, the right fonts for you, things that not only make sense for you, but also are going to be relevant and compelling to your target audience. It's an art, literally. Okay, and then on the next slide, you can sort of see some examples. The cool thing about a blog and design for a blog is it's really less work to design for a blog than it is for a full website. So really, essentially, you're starting with your blog banner and really everything that stems from that, right? When your background, your post titles, your sidebar titles, the fonts you use in typepad will all stem from the design of this blog banner. And so right away, you're looking at two blog banners here that we did for different clients. And the first one, this is for an executive coach, and she works exclusively with professional services leaders and really senior executives in the Fortune 550. And so you can see that the design is pretty conservative because that's appropriate for her target audience. Where it really reflects her is, she's really fascinated kind of with the military and kind of the process and the order of the military. And so you can kind of see that reflected in the font that we used and sort of the epaulet, arrows that go into her tagline. It's a pretty conservative font. That she's highly intelligent, just very wise. It's part of this trusted advisor, and so those are sage leaves dipping into the water. And part of what she loves about what she does is that when she can, help these senior executives, it really has a ripple effect across the organization. So you would see how, you wouldn't necessarily get that from, just looking at this, but it would certainly be on brand. You can see what she does. And then certainly if you went and read the content on our site, read her bio, you would really understand more of the connection between the imagery and who she is. And if you knew her, then you would really understand, yes, this site really represents who she is. And Mark Inda, another example, so you can really kind of brand yourself around what you do. I am specifically an expert in worldwide cloud computing channel development, right? And so, you want people to come here and say, oh, Mark, cloud computing, and that's what the imagery and copy communicates, right? And then on the next slide, on my website, I thought it would be kind of helpful to really illustrate this process of brand discovery and how you can take brand attributes and who someone is all about and translate that into design. So later, if you want to go to kirstendixon.com/goldfish.html, then you can see really the story of my brand. And you can see in my banner this goldfish. imagery and this concept. It's really smart to use to try not to communicate too many things, too many different concepts in your banner, right? You have people are complex, but you certainly want to have one strong theme that emerges. So one of the things that's most important to me, it's all about kind of leading edge, thinking, moving forward, right? And so I really liked this whole forward swimming aspect. And certainly with the red fish, you've got the standing out element of the branding. Now originally that fish was turned around and swimming in the other direction. And that wouldn't make sense for my brand, right? Because it's all about, connecting with others and being kind of, helping others along, right? It's not going against the grain, but it's just standing out. And then part of my brand also happens to be about, sharing my knowledge. I teach the REACH personal branding certification programs. And, I do webcasts like this, and I love kind of empowering other people. And, I have a book, and I like to speak and so forth, right? So it's all about the sharing, and then there's sort of the subliminal message of School of Fish. And then if you look up the meaning, the symbolism around goldfish, there's symbolism that really that I connect with, that really resonates with me personally. And, the same kind of thought process went into the font that I chose and the colors, and you can really read all about that on that goldfish story. And, so certainly that's not, you wouldn't write that story for everybody, but it certainly connects with what I do and sort of shares the complex process and hopefully simplifies it, what goes into all these little choices that you need to make when you're developing the visual vocabulary for your brand. And on the next slide, what you're going to do after you develop your blog banner is take that imagery, that branding, and really stamp it on absolutely everything that you do, right? Your business cards, your brochures, your PowerPoint presentations, and so forth. Develop a really complete, cohesive brand ID package, and it really all stems from starting with that blog banner. And on the next slide, I just wanted to kind of emphasize the importance of a professionally taken headshot. So I talked before about how when you're a small business owner, people are often finding you online, and that's the first impression. And people really want to see, who they're dealing with. And it's ideal to have a professional headshot. The lighting is going to be better. And you can certainly have a variety of headshots, more formal, more casual, and maybe use a more casual one in Facebook and a more professional one, and maybe you can use a headshot up in your blog banner, as you saw earlier on that Mark Inda example. And that certainly makes a lot of sense in personal branding is to use your headshot right in the design, because people are hiring you. And often, your brand really is the organizational brand, and people want, to work with someone they know, they trust, and if you're happy to be the image and the face of your company, then great, do that if you're comfortable with it. Okay, next slide. And so after the design, and this is actually probably happening concurrently with the design process, you're developing, thinking about developing on-brand content. Andy talked before about, being kind of known for something, having real focus. And, strong brands really are known for something. They're not known about 100 things. So, your blog category should support your brand message, and you shouldn't have 100 blog categories. I'm thinking not more than a dozen.